Someone just made over $400,000 betting on the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro hours before it happened. The account was created a week earlier and only bet on 4 things, all related to Venezuela. Either this person is incredibly lucky, or they knew something the rest of us didn't. Welcome to companies like Kalshi and Polymarket. They figured out the greatest regulatory loophole since corporations discovered tax havens. They're not gambling sites, they're prediction markets. Here's how they pulled it off. Traditional sports gambling companies like DraftKings and FanDuel navigate a maze of state-by-state regulations, licensing fees, and consumer protection laws. Kalshi said, "What if we just register as a federally regulated financial exchange instead?" They registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission as a derivatives market, and suddenly they can operate in states where sports betting is banned. The gambling industry is furious. At least 10 states have sent cease and desist letters to Kalshi and Polymarket. Tennessee, Nevada, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and others are all saying you're running unlicensed sports gambling. Kalshi's response has been to sue everyone, arguing that federal CFTC regulation overrides state authority. But here's the thing, sports gambling makes up over 90% of Kalshi's activity. They're getting billion-dollar trading volumes every week on NFL games and NBA matchups. State regulators are pretty sure that's just a sports book with better branding. Their insider trading situation is where this gets really interesting. The SEC monitors the stock market with thousands of employees. The CFTC oversees prediction markets with about 1/8 the staff. They're supposed to watch platforms seeing billions in weekly trades with roughly the same resources your local DMV has. Let's go back to that Venezuela trade. The user, Burdensome Mix, created an account on December 27th and placed $32,000 in bets that Maduro would be captured by the end of January when odds were at 6%. Hours later, Trump announced the raid. They walked away with over $400,000. That's not even the only example. Someone made nearly $1 million correctly, predicting 22 out of 23 of Google's most searched terms last year. Another trader bet $40,000 that OpenAI would release a web browser and made $7,000 when it launched. Either these people are geniuses, or they're getting information before everyone else. Kalshi says they prohibit insider trading in their terms of service. Polymarket's CEO told 60 Minutes that insiders having an edge is actually a good thing and people will just have to adapt. Imagine if the New York Stock Exchange said insider trading is beneficial and everyone should deal with it. The difference is that with stocks, insider trading is illegal and the SEC will prosecute you. With prediction markets, the laws are murky. The CFTC can enforce anti-fraud rules, but proving harm is difficult. How do you show the government was damaged by someone trading on advanced knowledge of a military operation? It's a legal gray area that makes enforcement almost impossible. This matters because prediction markets are going mainstream. CNN and CNBC partnered with Kalshi for prediction data. Dow Jones partnered with Polymarket. But if government officials or corporate insiders can legally profit from information you'll never have, you're not making informed bets. You're gambling against people who already know the outcome. The political connections make it messier. Trump nominated a Kalshi board member to lead the CFTC. Donald Trump Jr. is an advisor to both Kalshi and Polymarket. The people regulating these platforms have financial ties to them. Congressman Richie Torres introduced a bill to ban government employees from trading on prediction markets using non-public information. That's already illegal under existing insider trading laws, but those laws are hard to enforce when platforms operate in a regulatory gray zone and users bet anonymously through crypto wallets. States argue these platforms drain tax revenue from licensed sportsbooks while avoiding consumer protections. Tennessee alone collected taxes on over $305 million in sports betting wagers in 1 month. When platforms like Kalshi operate without licenses, states aren't seeing that revenue. They estimate unlicensed platforms account for about 30% of missing tax revenue. So where does this leave us? Kalshi went from $300 million in annual trading volume to $40 to $50 billion since August. Polymarket is valued at $9 billion. The industry is booming. But it's built on regulatory arbitrage, potential insider trading, and the argument that betting on NFL games is actually a sophisticated financial derivative. Will states shut them down? Will the CFTC enforce insider trading rules? Will the Supreme Court decide federal regulation override state gambling laws? Nobody knows. But when someone can turn $32,000 into $400,000 by knowing about a military raid beforehand, maybe those gambling regulations existed for a reason.